Okay, group one, you'd like to show?
So yesterday, what we worked on was based on like the total stats that group three had. We did like a little bit of verbal analysis. So for first we did sex representation for like each job category. It was just like kind of going over again, like whether it's a male dominated or female dominated field. And then we also looked into racial representation. So for each job category, we did each race and looked at all the different like possible stats. So like for example, just using like white construction workers, like among the construction workers, this percent is white, and among white workers in construction, this percent is male, and so on and so forth. So we did that for all of the job categories. We didn't get to doing Hispanics, but yeah, that's what we worked on yesterday.
Cool. Did anything jump out?
And also, can you make a pie chart or some chart, visual presentation in the spreadsheet that what you've done, when you are done,
Yeah, I think once we're done actually analyzing it,
right?
because we would have to have like 20 pie charts, and I don't think we want to do that.
No. Wait and see what jumps out and make some charts. And it might not be a pie, it might be a stacked graph or a stacked column or a column chart or multiple or whatever. Like you'll have to see what the point is you want to make and illustrate.
So how about group two?
I wasn't here yesterday, so I have no idea.
Are you in New York now?
Yeah.
Ah, welcome to the United States. Glad you made it in without too much harassment, I hope.
So okay, so for group two, Richard was here yesterday, and I just asked him to do this exploratory basic age for California because I had some questions for how group two would do the demographics. Here, Richard made a quick graph on age groups, so it shows the men in the labor force and women in the labor force overall. So we just quickly see there's it's mostly even. There are more like it's mostly more men than females at each age groups except towards the 50s up here.
And what adds to 100 here, like 100%?
So men plus women. So
Men
the
plus
light,
women,
yeah. The thing is,
like across ages.
yes.
Okay.
Um, he did make percentages of some things, which is why the men and women in labor force have greater percentages than just men and women. Because the way this data is, men and women are separate. It's a broader term.
Okay.
So it was just some things we could use or keep in the back of our minds.
This is encouraging. Like maybe soon I won't have to work as much. Is that what it's saying?
Are you kidding me?
Daisy.
I hope.
Oh, sorry.
So this is California, but can you write down which year or
yeah, I know for a fact this is from the American Community Survey.
okay, 2020.
Yeah, it's from 2023.
2023.
I
Okay.
lied.
Okay. So
Great.
that's good. That's a start of like you could decide that if you applied those age groups generally to each category, you might be able to say something about ages and yeah.
So okay, it took some time, but I figured out how I finally fully understood how they did their demographics.
Okay.
And basically they added up, correct me if I'm wrong, Sophia, but for each chemical they added the
So you are talking
demo
about group two? What do you mean by day?
yeah, for group two.
Okay.
They group 2 added, so for the dichlorobenzene, their demographic consists of personal care and service occupation demographics. And methane chloride, they added together healthcare, food preparation, farming, construction, production, like the occupation groups that had emissions, which is why they end up with they had the same for tri and diethanolamine because they were present in all occupations. So I was looking at this in group 1 and 3 when we're doing our analysis, when we're comparing it back to baseline of the base California worker population, like saying out of the total civilian employee population in California, 38.72% are white, and we're using this as like a basis for comparison. I wasn't sure what group 2 could say out of this, as they're a complement of, not a complement, a aggregation of multiple industries. So
I think-
that's, yeah.
I think that the comparison with G2 is that you would, it's a within group comparison, I guess. Like you're not comparing generally, you're comparing like that because you're not looking broadly, but you would say, you know, this is our high chemical and these are the people who are exposed to it, and those people you might be able to say like have a higher percentage of being not white or being Asian or being whatever. Like, so I think you could compare it that way, where you're talking about what the so you could, I guess you could, so you could say with out of the California workforce, 50% of people in the California workforce are, or it was 37% of the people in the California workforce are white, but within these categories, only 23% are white or whatever. But I don't think that's the powerful point. I think the powerful point is to say like, it's something like, you've got these chemicals that people are exposed to, and compared to the general population, let's say that it's 25% of the workers are Black, whereas general population of workers, only 10% are Black. So you might say that compared to the general worker population or workforce, there's an over, representation of Black workers at risk of high methylene chloride exposure in these jobs. So it's a little bit of like this and this. So it's also, you're taking into account both the fact that we've sort of sorted out the high, not the high, but the low paying jobs. And then we're also looking at the high damaging chemicals. So those two things together is what you're sort of having to make a statement about. So it's more about, right, who ends up being highly exposed. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's quite similar, but I think it's not the same, like, because in this one you're saying within construction or whatever job group, you could say it the same way. Actually, they're a bit flipped, but they're the same, right? Like that white male workers are at greater risk to the average worker's exposure to blah, blah, blah chemical. And I guess that average worker exposure is coming from the original paper. Is that where that's coming from? Where's the where's the average exposure coming from?
The emissions.
Just straight emissions, like without weighting.
That's from the supporting document from the research.
Yeah, I mean, so I think again, like you can, right, it's coming from there. Yeah. So I think that again, like writing those detailed sentences like you guys are doing, like is the way to get at that. So I think that's right. So like these things are high top tier, but like actually when you reorder them based on the products that people are exposed to within each of these job categories, some are more important than others. And within some of those job categories, different race, ethnic, and gender groups are either over or underrepresented in experiencing those high exposures.
Oh, okay. All right. Sophia, do you catch that?
Yeah, but
All right, because if you have questions, Dr. Noth is what she answers efficiently then
Yeah,
later.
and also Sophia, you have to write it down in group one, the Google Doc app. So what Dr. Nos stated right now, so you gotta fully understand that for you to write it down, the Google Doc in the so
So like
you
looking at this one, let's see, this is group 2. Is this whole document group 2, or is this just this
Mhm.
tab is group 2? The whole
Oh,
document?
yep.
yeah, whole document.
So point, can you, this is the demographics, but do you have the, where it's combined with, or is this, yeah, with the exposures, or are these these are the demographics for that exposure? Okay, so for the, so you could take one for dichlorobenzene, is that what that
Mhm.
is? And then you could copy for comparison that same line of just the total worker population, like of California.
From this here.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and there wouldn't be a problem.
And then you could look and see like, okay, so when we're looking at exposure to 1,4-dichlorobenzene, I mean, I can just see from there that like, actually for almost all these, well, for the top 2 exposures, there's a big discrepancy between male and female, right? You expect that to be about 50% or a little bit different from the original charts, right? That there's a little bit more men in the workforce than women, but that's huge that you've got like women are exposed way more than men to 1,4-dichlorobenzene. So that's really interesting. And that's true for methylene chloride, dichlorobenzene, and then maybe it's not true for tetrachloroethylene or trichloroethylene. But, and then you could compare, like you, in the white, when you get into the demographics, you'll have to turn those into percentages also, so you can compare to the general population percentage. And so what this tells you is that 1,4-dichlorobenzene is going to be more of a problem for women at work than for men because more of them are exposed, and a more frequent exposure, that kind of a problem. And so, for instance, if it were a developmental toxicant or a teratogen or something specific to women, then that would be even more important, right? Like to focus on that. So I think it's also seeing like, if you were to prioritize then based on women, you might not pick the same top chemicals that you would if you were to prioritize based on male exposure, because maybe more women are exposed to, like, you can imagine looking at this, like if you just were going to pick the chemical with the combined weighted exposure, more exposure to men, or biggest exposure for women, you might think about how you look at the fact that those top 2 chemicals have a higher percentage where women are exposed. And like or conversely, if you're going to look at men, like you might not want to prioritize 1,4-dichlorobenzene because only 25% of men are exposed to it in these groupings. So you might think about what that means, like that they're different. And then also as you look across the races, that will be different. And I'm sure you won't see that for every category of women that it's 74%, for some it might be less or more. There might be some where there's no men at all in that field or in that chemical. So it's sort of interesting. So it's more like you've got to sort of do the exploration and see if you can pull some of these things out, like, but you just have to sort of crunch the numbers. Some of them will be as expected, like 54, like tetrachloroethylene and trichloroethylene, like those bottom 3 maybe are not so different from each other, but the top 2 are. So then, but it might be as you go through and add the racial and gender component, you'll see some of them are really off.
I think, yeah, Sophia, you feel very good. I did try to
Yeah.
take as much. All right, then, yeah, I think that's group 2, and we can work on that today. Group 3 didn't get too much done. I was busy catching some people up and discussing some of the stuff. But I did do like a very, not very rough, but I attempted to just drop a quick paragraph, not a few sentences on construction industry. And it was just the what group one did. Oh, I think I had a question of like when to use raw numbers and when to like not use raw numbers. But other than
Yeah, and
that-
I'm trying to think how to say, like, when you've got like the overall men are at a higher risk of being exposed to carcinogens in females within construction and extraction occupations. I wonder how to say that, like, they're, because if there's a man and a woman in construction, they're equally likely to be exposed, given our data, but it's more that there are more men that are exposed, period.
Mhm.
So I'm not quite sure how to say that slight distinction. And I think as far as raw numbers versus, I mean, in this one, it's so much more male and so much more white male.
But if we put that in Hispanic, that'll be different.
Right. But you don't have, like, you can do Hispanic and not Hispanic, but you can't do non-white Hispanic or white Hispanic.
Like, could we even do Hispanic against versus not Hispanic? Because I think group one did do it, and I kind of told them like doesn't make sense because the way they did it was there's total for that industry, and there was the Hispanic numbers, and they did a quick subtraction
Right.
to say they're not Hispanic, but I thought there were like some Hispanics included in white alone. And
I think, so they don't have, it doesn't give you Hispanic and non-Hispanic, it just gives you Hispanic.
yes, they only give us white alone, not Hispanic or Latino, and then it's just that's the only race that has that option.
Oh, so white that's not non-Hispanic white.
hmm
And then
But they don't. Yeah.
Hispanic. Well, that's kind of useful. I mean, then you can have, yeah, I think that's useful. So then you just have to be careful with what you call, so H is good because it's just white people who are not Hispanic. And
Mhm.
then in Hispanic or Latino, you get everybody who identifies as Hispanic or Latino, regardless of whether they would call themselves white or black or Asian. And most Hispanics, I think, are white in California. Like on the, you can check that to make sure that I'm thinking of that the right way, but most of the, like, the East Coast has more black Hispanics, like Cubans and Caribbean and Brazilian sort of influence, but like we don't have as much of that in California just because we're further away.
But when you say this white is including Mexican and Honduras and everybody,
I think so, because what else would they mark?
it's so weird.
Well, I mean, this is like a central problem with the census. um, like it's not very, so yeah, so right, so they could mark some other race, but right, so here a person's race, it would be somebody who's from South America would write that they're white Hispanic, and so this is the question really that you've got H and I, right? There, oh no, it's beyond that, because you've got not of Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin and white alone. So like you have truly, I mean, this is the thing that's weird, but it does get sort of at, I don't know if this is why they do it this way, but it sort of gets at highest privilege, right? Would be white non-Hispanic. Whereas then, yeah, it's a very difficult, this is like a real problem with the census, is like how to understand what these things mean if you're looking at the general population. But I do think that looking at, so you can look at with the data you've got, white, non-white Hispanic, right? That's the number it gives you. No, it's white and not Hispanic. or you could look at Hispanic and any race is basically what that is. I don't know why they pick that, but that's what those two are. So H is non-Hispanic, white only, and the other is Hispanic, any race.
So, so so Hispanic would equals I, but non-Hispanic would equal the stage because
No, so
right,
somebody
right,
who's
that's the
black and not Hispanic is not counted here.
right.
Is it
And so
how-
that's why, like, so you can use the subtraction like group one did, but you just have to be really careful to note that the numbers, I guess, if you've got Hispanic and you've got white non-Hispanic, what you don't have is non-Hispanic other races, or not non-Hispanic, non-white, I guess is the better way to say it.
Can you put the how about, because I found several the published paper or article, they said it's Latino, Asian, white, Latino.
Latino is just another word for Hispanic. So Hispanic is everything. It's just that people use different words to describe it. Like, for example, you can see there that Mexican American, some people call themselves Chicano. And some people, this is not caught up with the times, call themselves Latinx, right? I'm sure you guys have heard that phrase.
Right.
And some people also call themselves Latine, Latine. And
Right.
so it's just another term. Hispanic was a term that was made up. Like, it's not a real, doesn't describe anywhere, right? Like, it's just a term made up for, I don't even know. I don't know quite what I mean, it says there, like what
Because I do have a population, bottom 10%, they didn't divide it into a specific industry, but bottom 10 is more Hispanic, Latino than
Right.
white. So if we didn't put it in Hispanic or Latino, that is very different. Especially that what is that? Especially construction is mostly Hispanic. If we take it out Hispanic, it's white is most exposed, but that's wrong.
Right. Well, no. So it's not wrong. It's just incomplete. I mean, like,
Yeah, incomplete. It's wrong because it's most exposed is the white, which is not right, not correct.
yeah, I think the problem here is that the census is not tracking race the way that most of us think about race, right? I mean, most people think of themselves, I think, as being from whatever country they're from. Like, very few people think of themselves as being, I think, yeah. So, like, exactly, you can do it. You need to be careful about the wording. And Daisy, I think you're right that, like, most people, because it's more important in the way that our society treats people, it's more important if somebody is Mexican than if they have really pale skin. And so culturally, they may not be of the white culture, but the census is not entirely recording white culture. It's sort of recording, and only sort of recording, color. So it's a real mishmash. And it's when you get down to trying to use Hispanic and not Hispanic and race that you really have to confront that the census is not doing a very good job about race. And it's trying to do a better job, like, as you see, like, the breaking out into, like, what country are you from, that makes it a little more clear. And the same is true with Asian, right? Like, the Asian at least is a race, and so, like, in the census, and so it doesn't get confusing like this, but you could see how it could easily get confusing like this if they had decided that it wasn't a race. And why they did it this way, I'm not sure anybody knows, but it makes it super complex. But I think they're trying to be better about it, but there's so many years of bad data like this. So I think you can do, it looks like you have non-Hispanic white. And if you took non-Hispanic white and the total number of everybody,
would you include alone white in that total?
It would
Don't we
in
get rid
that,
of?
let's see. What are they? So you have all Hispanic is one number, right? And the other number is white
Oh, this
and
would be.
non-Hispanic.
Mhm.
So if you subtracted, and then you have the total number of workers from another data set. And so I think that, I'm not sure you can reconstruct it because you don't know, like, yeah, you can't do it because you don't know in your data set how many Black, Hispanic, and non-Hispanic people there are.
So it's just better to keep it all like.
I would just call it Hispanic and white, non-Hispanic, and then Black alone, Asian alone. And that will get a little bit at what, Daisy, you're talking about. It doesn't quite, I mean, you could do white and non-Hispanic and Hispanic. In California, most of the people who I think are here and identify as Hispanic on the census are going to be white. So I think that that's mostly going to be fine. But that's all that the data that you could do. And I think that will tell the story. Like, I think in construction, for example, you're going to see that most people are Hispanic. And so together, sort of, you can infer that, like, if most people are white, and then most people between being white, non-Hispanic, and Hispanic, if most people are then Hispanic, then you can kind of infer that most people are white Hispanic. But there's not a lot you can do quantitatively just because you're missing some cells that you don't have, you can't match.
Can I share one of a policy one that some of them?
What,
we
could
did?
I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, go ahead. And I'm gonna show that erase one later.
So this, we can just move on with this because I was like, do we need to incorporate H, which was white non-Hispanics? But since we don't have race non-Hispanics for Black, Asian, and Hawaiian.
Oh, I see. So this is, you've got Hispanic Latino, and then you've got total, and so then you've got just non-Hispanic Latino. Yeah, you could have that. Those things that's fine. I mean, you might also want, if you had white, non-Hispanic, you could have 3 categories where you had Hispanic Latino, non-Hispanic white, and non-Hispanic other, and the non-Hispanic other would just be the total minus the other 2. So you could do that. I'm not sure it gets you much, like, but it'd be interesting to see. Like, you might not need to present it because there might not be much of a difference between the 2 numbers, but it could be, if you've got it already, like, you could compare the non-Hispanic white to non-Hispanic. In California, there are not a lot, as far as I know, not a huge number of Hispanics that are not white. There's some, but it's not like there's a huge diaspora. Hopefully I'm right in that bold statement.
6 million. That's
6 million.
White non-Hispanics.
Right. So there's some, but it's significant, but it's not, the vast majority are white.
Yeah, so that means like roughly 6 million or 6.5 million, right?
Yeah. So you can present it, but like
Yeah, it might be adding more.
It might be adding more confusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, if we follow as all the other groups, we can use Hispanics in that way. But I see group 1 and 2 both did exactly that. So, yep. And yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, and what's left for us to do is parse through that data, like group 1 has. I think you can show us the race you were talking about.
I'm still caught on the white because they said it's Latino and Hispanic is one is race and one is not race. So I'm just looking at all this.
It's weird, and that is it, that white and Black and Asian are considered, and Native American are considered by the census to be race, whereas
Because of a
Latino,
root from all the European.
oh,
No,
I
it's
have no
not
idea, Daisy. I don't, it's something.
Because it's Spanish, so European, Espanol. Um,
I mean, I think it comes like, where does the word come from? Or like, why are we doing it? I mean, I don't understand, for example, like if you're a person, and I think this is where the census fails. So this does not impact what you guys are doing, but just to say, like, if you're say a native Mexican person, so not like from Spanish stock, and the way that, I mean, Mexico is very apparently, it was at least many years ago, and it probably still is, like, there's the upper class people who are from Spain and are whiter, and then
Mhm.
there's the lower class people, or lower, it's class being economic class, people who are indigenous. And so
right.
then the indigenous people are the people that tend to come to the US. So then what do they mark on the census? I have no idea. Like, they don't mark American Indian / Native American, generally speaking, because that's meant to be an indigenous person from the United States geographical area, right? So like that's out. And then, so they'll mark, I guess, that they're Hispanic Latino, but it's not super meaningful.
It's not
I
a
mean,
race.
it's not a race. And I mean, I think that it's right. So it's like both not a race, and it's also the same way that Asian is really like, Asian is maybe better, but I don't think so. Not really. I mean, like, the only thing that is in common for people who are Asian is that they come from Asia. I mean, like, it's just, you can't say that there's a lot from a demographic perspective that is in common with somebody that comes from an indigenous group in Thailand, and like somebody from freezing cold northern South Korea. Like, there's very little, right? And like the economic advantage and all of that cultural, it's all really different. And so the census just has limitations. And I think that you're butting up against one. And I think this is really where it comes from. And I think partially we can think about the fact that the census originally was used not for great reasons. Like, and it was formed for not great reasons. I don't totally know the history of it, but that there was the anti-immigration acts that said like the 10%, the Asian Exclusion Act, right? Like, was like 10% of the population of each racial group can immigrate into the US for the given year, right? So like then you have to know how many people in each immigrant group there are in order to then limit more immigrant groups of that type. I assume that's where the census was born. So it's not like from a wonderful public health perspective where you want to know how many people are exposed to this certain thing so that you can then roll out appropriate guidance in the right languages. Like, that's how people use it, but that's not why it was made. And so it's like it was made for one purpose that's a little bit unclear to me, and we are trying to apply it. And so that's like Hispanic. I think originally they made it an ethnicity because Hispanic maybe were Spanish speaking people. And so like then you could know how many people you need to prepare Spanish language things for. It's a weird thing. And it's driven by all sorts of things that I don't know. And demographers could probably talk your ear off about. But I think that's why it doesn't work perfectly, is because it wasn't designed for this.
Yeah, so most of construction company, not company, industries, that all this bottom 10 is from almost like Mexico indigenous people. So that's what my point is that.
Yeah. And I think it's hard to make that point with census data, but you can at least show that most of them are Hispanic. And so I think that is understood loosely to know that we're talking about primarily people who did not come from some rich family in Spain in 1500 with Cortez. And
Okay.
I just read a great book about an alternate revenge history of of the Mexican people at the time of Cortez. Highly recommend. It's
Mm,
called You Dreamed of Empires. It was wonderful. Um,
okay. So
but yeah.
let me show you one that because this one I found here. This is policy.
Hmm.
So this one is this is the most low income families. So it's not like really ages, but we can assume that Latino, Black, white, most. This is California, Asian. So but this is all California population,
Hmm.
and then this is bottom 10. So that's what I'm saying. White is 27. We cannot really apply 100%. This is it, but 46 is the Latino. That means I think it's that we are talking about.
So I think what these are actually is Latino, and then you have white, non-Latino, Asian, non-Latino, Black, non-Latino, and other non-Latino. And that's not the data you guys are working with. I mean, like, you could dig into the census and do all the cross-linking and get to this data as well. Maybe. I'm not even sure you can, but
Right.
that's what they did. Like with demographics, it's the easiest. Like you can go in and get all this data on sort of household income and size and stuff like that at a really fine scale, but I don't know if you could do it for occupation.
Okay. Yeah. So this is not occupation. This is a low income families. So I just looking for is the bottom 10. So that's what I'd like to show.
Thank
Gotcha.
you.
All
Okay,
right.
so you guys all have a plan
Plan
and
for
you're writing up your
research.
methods too. Don't forget to write up your methods.
So please write down very detail and everything in that yeah, the group research, group analysis and methods draft and as detailed as possible. Then we probably next week we would like to just start to write the abstract first and then start to do research, the details, research paper.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But but in terms of in terms of it are all combined together, it's very details, all three group that we're gonna write it down, all that. Simplifies, but we have to have a detailed and result and then your interpretation and all that, then we're gonna just summarize in the abstract.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. So how you were gonna do that? The gene. So you were gonna still you wanna just finish up what we are talking about today, the breakout room, or you guys doing the group meeting during the weekend from tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. What do you think? Is there more question that I would like to let Dr. Nuss go? But do you have any more questions, Sophia,
Yes. Oh,
Alan, Joel?
we-
Oh, go ahead.
So I'm seeing a lot of common graphs and common analysis that all the different groups are doing.
Yeah.
But I guess this is a bit further down the line, or maybe I have to go now, but should we have, when we go to write our results, should we have them based off of the graphs or have them still presented in group 1, 2, and 3 like we have?
Oh, so you may find that you want to reorganize how you present things rather than group 1, 2, 3. That's pretty
Right.
common.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like we get stuck when we're doing our research into like a sort of functional category, but then when you start to write it up, you have to sort of let that go. And often you have to, I think we have experienced this in this group before, like you have to change how you're describing something, like, and this has happened to me countless times where you're stuck describing something in like sort of a kludgy, awkward way, and then you realize, oh, we can just call it this rather than this, clogged together. So yeah, you may, as you're writing it together, you may think, oh, okay, first we'll have this description and then that description and then this description. It may not go in the same order as you have it, and you may recombine things. Like it just might change a bit, and that's to be expected.
Okay, so we should, okay. Because I
And you
was,
should think about like sort of like when you're thinking about your results or your methods and your results, like what are some natural headers for that? Like, is it you did a couple of different tasks, and some of those tasks were worth commenting on and some were not, right? I mean, like they were all necessary, but like, something that definitely you'd want to cover would be how you picked the jobs that you picked and how you assigned products to the jobs that you picked. and but you wouldn't want to talk about much about like how you assign demographics, right? You would just say we use data from the blah blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like this is one of those
Source.
right, you give the source, but like as per usual, like the things that take a long time aren't always the things that get a lot of words. So
Right.
that's also to be expected, but don't worry too much. I mean, you write it up and then as you go through and edit, you're like, oh, right, I don't need to say that.
So that's why I think each group's interpretation is very important, because
Yeah,
when we write, and we're gonna have a cohesive, we're not gonna do group 1, 2, 3. If we would like to give them a whole picture. It's like what is the important things and all that. So it very detailed description, and then we're gonna combine and to give them just the point of that analysis in the abstract. Yeah, and the importance of that result is not 1, 2, 3. If we can combine 2 or 3, that is good too. It's more depth, right? Dr. Knows it's like a depth that point
Yeah.
cross is not like a segmented result we're gonna present.
right. Like you want to put things together that naturally go together and that
Mhm.
enforce each other. And it may or may not mirror 1, 2, 3.
Right.
I think that it might be 1 + 3 and then 2.
Right.
Plus
It might be
three,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Okay, because I was worried about time. And I was like, maybe you can have group 1 and 3 merge in a sense right now.
Right. That's good. So that's what I talked to Sophia, that we would like to do a little bit more cohesive graph. We're gonna combine graph, and then we're gonna produce major kind of points that graphs. Not right now, graphics is all over the places, but we have to put that X and Y, whatever that it is, and then a little bit more cohesive visual presentation.
Okay. All right. Group 1 and 3's graphs are gonna look very similar. Group 2's aren't if we do the demographics. So,
Yeah. And
Well-
ultimately, you're going to boil it down to a couple of, most important
major.
data visualizations. And then
Yeah.
that will be it. And that's the way it always is.
We don't need
Right.
to put all the graphs. It's like a major.
You kind of think of it like your vacation photos, You're not going to
Okay.
show all of them to your friends, just the best ones.
Right. Good to have
Except
a
your
major
very
one.
best friends, you show all of them. And so we are all the very best of friends. So we all look at all of the graphs. But now when we're going to show them to other people, we just want the very best. So
No, Dr. Nose, we're gonna send the album. Nowadays,
A
they
flip.
should automatically create an album, so we just send it in.
that would be
Okay.
funny.
Right. So any questions, any comments or any concerns that
Yes, I actually have another one for group 2. Group 2 is going to be looking primarily at these chemicals. So when they go to make graphs, would they still? Because I noticed they did the job groups, but wouldn't they would be more prone to be making graphs for chemical, right? Like this, where they analyze.
Oh,
the
I
top
see.
five.
Maybe. I mean, this is the thing to figure out is like, and it could be
Okay.
that, yeah, and I'm thinking it could be that some of the things that you end up looking at that it seemed like they were really different, but in the end you've produced the same, like, and that's just the way it is. Like, it can be enlightening to discover that, two paths can lead to the same sort of conclusion, or that they lead to parallel conclusions, but really similar, or even different, but I doubt that will happen. But
Okay.
yeah, I think that's the work, is to figure out which way makes sense. And there isn't a right way. Just remember what your research question is and what answers that research question.
Mhm.
and even we can change a research question. It's
No,
up to the-
no.
yeah, no. It's up to the result, details That's what
Right,
it
you
is.
can you can sort of subset it, maybe, is
Right.
more what you mean,
Okay.
like you can say, oh, okay, so among men, what is it? Among women, what is it? Or whatever, like, if we're
Right.
only interested in Hispanic population of California, then what would we do? Like that kind of thing. So you can sort of do sub-analyses of your big question.
Okay. Yes. All right. Sounds great.
Okay, so
Okay.
since like I think it's let's finish up the regular meeting with Dr. Nas this week today, and then later on the ones we have write it down. Some of them we're gonna send you edit. Just send you all the draft, and you can edit. And if we need to do more this and that, then you always said to me that just do this more and that more. So it's all kind of in the paper, not anymore meeting you guys. Right, Dr. Nurse? From now on we can do that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
you guys are doing well.
Yeah. I think it's this is a year that a lot of people participate and I'm so proud. Everybody chip in. I don't know if it's the same level, do you understand or not, but still that a lot of people that participated very fairly. So I'm so happy. And then great job, you guys.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah. A
And I
little
think
bit
as
different.
you write it up, it will feel even more great.
Oh, I don't know that part.
It
Well,
will
you'll
be
see.
great. I have
It will
faith.
be great. It already is great, but I think it'll be, I mean, the challenge now is to pull out the interesting and more unusual or more usual, but just like the things that really answer your question and make them clear so that somebody can just sit down and read it. I mean, think about sending it to Meg, Dr. Schwarzman, like, here's what we did with your paper and like, what do you think? And so you want her to be able to read through it and be like, okay, here's what they did and here's how they did it. And okay, that's great. Like, okay, that makes sense. Like, oh, wait, I wouldn't have done it that way, but okay, I see why they did it that way. That's okay. Like, that's the kind of like experience you want to have. And then when they get to the end, like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. And the end result might be like, okay, let's repeat this with another group of people with every job, or something, like, who knows? Like this doesn't have to be the end of this way of thinking, right? Like this, you could think of as a pilot where like we proved it was possible to do this, and we saw, that we could add value to the ranking.
Right. Oh, I have one question actually. So how do we connect it or refer or comment about that Dr. Nuss's the paper?
Dr.
So
Schwartzman's paper?
yeah. How are we gonna start it?
I think you can just say in plain language now that like we took the analysis from this paper and cite it, and you can say, whoever it is, she's not the first author. Who's the first author?
All right.
Someone.
Right.
But with a K, is it? But so and so et al. And so you just refer to them as, the research done by so and so et al. Because it's not a study, like they like if you were looking at like a research study that had a name, like we have a study called CHAPS, and so you would write it up like, we took the data from the CHAPS study and we expanded it to include blah, 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 right? But we don't have that. So like, you just would say, we took the data from so-and-so et al., and we expanded it. And then as it goes, like if that doesn't fit, which it probably will, but if for some reason that doesn't work, we'll figure out another way to describe it. But I think that's all. And you can, I think if Meg reads the paper and likes it and wants her name on it, then we stick her name on it, then it's sort of, and if she doesn't, we just acknowledge, if she doesn't think she was involved enough to take an authorship, then she can just take an acknowledgement. So I think it all just depends on how it develops.
Yeah, that's a fair. Okay, that was my question. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nas.
All right, I will see you guys soon.
Yeah,
Thank
it's been
you.
quite a.
It's hot here. Like we're having our first summer day, so I'm like,
Oh my gosh!
I know.
First autumn day today. It's like 70 something. Voila.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
68 over here. We're
Oh,
like
man.
60
Well,
over there.
September is the hottest month in the Bay Area, so
Oh,
we're just
wow.
entering our hellish season,
Okay.
otherwise known as the fire heat season. Anyway,
Okay.
okay, I will, Daisy, you'll let me know when we're gonna meet
Sure,
next.
sure, definitely,
All
definitely.
right,
Thank
good
you
luck, you
so
guys.
much.
Great work. Great work.
Okay, thank you. Bye. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a break. You guys decide. You were gonna do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. You were gonna submit. You were gonna by. How about that? Because everybody busy. By next week, early part that we did this and we updated and all that. Or you were gonna just divide right now and then do something, please.
I think, how do we feel about doing this over the weekend? Like, we don't have to meet tomorrow. The groups can choose when to meet that best fits the time. And what we'll be doing is, yeah, I think until like, so by Monday-ish, I don't,
Right.
expect like group 2 might have a hard time because there's traveling and there's school and stuff, but
So can you, yeah, that one, this is only group 3 or other one
no,
too?
this is our overarching question, right? We want to know which race is the most vulnerable, which sex is the most vulnerable, and which combination is the most vulnerable. So like I have here,
Yeah, that was really, I have a trouble because Hispanic is really most 10%, but we cannot really point it out that it's not that much.
also for the Hispanics, what would happen is,
And while you are doing it, Sanjin, can you just take that 3 lines or overarching questions
oh yeah, I'm
issues?
gonna put in them.
Yeah, and then date. Because if it is sometimes it's not dated, we don't know that it's updated or not. So if you can, then I have some idea about introduction, so that's why I asked Dr. Nas. Yeah,
Oh,
put
that's
it,
great.
put it the first one and the date, and then you can, yeah,
This will be our methods. So this will be our overarching
right,
research question. You would agree, right?
right, yeah,
This
yeah.
this
Put the
is what
date, yeah, recent one.
um,
이거 we're gonna publish the Dr. Notes and I and Megan, Dr. Schwartzman and everybody. If we have a good research paper, then we're gonna just put some kind of paper to not only submit to conference, so just do the best.
so this is what we kind of want to focus on
Mm,
when we go look at to polish up the data we have for our
right,
groups. So yeah, we want to look at race, sex, and possibly which race and sex combination, like and the cross section is the most vulnerable.
right,
Don't take this word for word. It's definitely gonna be different analyses for
sure,
different occupations.
right.
So what we write about is going to be different, like based on what's interesting for that occupation. So it's really just now going and parsing through the data and really just noting any interesting things that jump out at you, or if not, but like try comparing it to baseline, see if there's anything different, if not it's similar. Yeah, so once we talk about race breakdown, gender breakdown, possibly race and sex breakdown, tie it to toxicant types, and also compare it with baseline to say who's more vulnerable, especially compared to the general workforce. It'll be That'll be a lot, I feel like enough said for each occupation. So yeah. And there was like this thing Dr. Note mentioned about this, like here I have a sentence saying overall men are at a higher risk of being exposed to carcinogens than females within construction extraction occupation. But theoretically, like realistically, they're both exposed, like male and female, like men and women are exposed to the same chemicals. It's just that more men, like a greater number of men are
Yeah,
exposed.
because the population, workforce is men is more. That's why, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but like the way I have this currently worded is I'm saying men are at a greater risk when honestly men and women are at a greater risk.
Right.
So it should be overall
Yeah, we can do the workforce that workers in that industry both.
so like yeah. So this like wording also really matters. So once we are done parsing through the data and like writing it down like this, let's try to kind of double check and go back. It doesn't have to be the same day. You can like come back the next day and try to look at it and like make edits and see if it.
Yeah, and not only just put it in the only data, you have to interpretation. What is that? You don't need to interpretation all the details, but it's a major point. What is that? We try to do that based on that what Jean wrote, the questions, research question. So you can put that down, the interpretation. Yeah, you know, in words. That would be a lot better. And then and then later on we can combine some of them. Okay, doc. So the result, the what is that? Everybody wants to whatever weekend, Friday, whatever that you guys you do your own group things and update it, and then you know put the interpretation for the major outcome by Monday. So do we have a meeting by Monday? We're gonna just see that all come by Monday. What is that? Because
I
pretty much everybody is like we're busy by next week.
I think it's currently the plan is to touch base back on Monday, 7 p.m. to see if we were able to do this. And then we'll have another like meeting where we so each group presents what they have.
Hmm.
And while doing that, we're gonna really have to, because we're gonna need to start writing, we need to really try to find those similar trends or parallels that it's talking about mention. So that we can
Right.
group them together to get more comprehensive results when we go to write.
Right. So Sophia and Richard will be available, but Alice has to go to school. Already started school, so he cannot participate it. Okay,
Okay.
only we are losing Alice. The Richard will be coming during the weekend to New York, so he will be able to do that on Monday. So we'll see. Okay, any
Yeah,
question?
yeah, okay. And yeah,
Yeah, Sophia, Joel, Ryan,
clarifications.
Willie. So leaders, all the group, that you have to make your own meeting, or if you cannot do that, then you have to analysis by yourself, and you know it's up to the situation. Okay, in the case, let's off. All
Yeah, and
right.
again, as always, if you guys have any questions or anything, text me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, even bring it questions if you cannot do that, or if you have some kind of issues.